As we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, I want to share with you one lady's story that changed it all. Now, I don't know about you if you're like the peacemaker amongst your friends. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you about a woman called Abigail. Now, sit back, grab a popcorn, grab what you need, and I'm going to tell you a tale. Now, she was married to a man called Nabal. Now, Nabal, if you find out the meaning, it means fool. And I'm not going to lie, guys, he lived up to that name, fool, okay? So, Nabal, he had some sheep, he had some like stock, and King David, and his people looked after it. He looked after it, did nothing to it, make sure it was safe. Now, time came, King David needed Nabal's help. He needed some food and some stuff for his people, and his men and himself needed something. And David sent his soldiers to go and speak to Nabal and say, "Hey, can we have some food and some water? We're hungry. We looked after your sheep. Return the favor." Nabal turned around and told them, "Get out of my land." Well, not like that, but I'm paraphrasing, but that's how I felt when I read it. He basically told them no. He cursed David cursed Daniel and his people, and he was like, "Who is Daniel? I think Daniel. Who's Daniel? David." He cursed David and his people. So who the heck is David? Like, what? So the people were like, "Okay, we're gonna tell David this." They went back and told David what Nabal said. David was fuming. So David picked up his sword. He said, "You know what? I need 400 men. 200 of you stay back and look after stuff." David marched down to Nabal's house. I was talking like that, but he marched down. You know how hot-headed David was. He was a man of justice, and he ain't gonna play. So he marched down to Nabal's house ready for war. Now, Nabal's wife, Abigail, lovely woman, she caught wind of what was happening. She didn't know that Nabal said no. So she was like, "Oh my goodness, this fool is basically going to take us all out because of his actions." So she quickly grabbed like bread, everything you could think, food, water, whatever, everything she needed, right? Got on a donkey and rode to David. Now she meets David halfway as he's on his way of like on a mission to take down Nabal and his people. She gets off her donkey and she falls to David's feet like, "Please, please, please, please." The man, he can't help it. And I'm not gonna lie, read it. He can't help it. He's just living up to his name. Read it, okay? And she's basically, "Look, I've got water, I've got this, I've got food. If I knew that this man did this, it wouldn't happen. Please, please spare us. Please, please spare him. He doesn't know any better." David was like, "You know what? Because of you, I'm sparing your household." So they had the food, whatever. She's gone back home now, like thinking, "This man, look what he's done." So cooked and bowl a nice meal. They're sitting at dinner, and he's sitting there like all puffed up, like, yeah. And she tells David, "Whoop, my camera." She tells David what happened. I don't know where David's coming from. She tells Nabal what happened, and unfortunately, in that moment, Nabal has a heart attack, and that's the end of him. Now, David hears about what happens to Nabal, and he goes, "Well, what's happened to Abigail?" So, do you know what ends up happening? She becomes David's wife. Wow. Okay, that is the craziest story. Who says the Bible is boring? Okay, the Bible is not boring. Read it. So, being a peacemaker does and changes everything. Sometimes it is a bit annoying when you feel like you're always having to be playing the peacemaker amongst people, but you can see by the power of just getting in there, stopping someone from ruining their lives and taking up someone else's life, changed the game for Abigail and her family, and she became queen. So let's celebrate Abigail. I've left the scriptures down there. Read it for yourself. You might find a deeper understanding than I received. Please let me know what you find out. I will speak about it. Continue to celebrate.